Today's topic is going to be pretty exciting as we would be talking about managing leaves in Dynamics 365 F&O using Copilot. But here is the challenge. Supposing you are applying for a leave in finance and operation using Copilot, how do you make the system understand that it's you? Finance and operation leaves are created using personal number, which in turn is associated with the user ID with which you are logging into the system. And this is done by the user to worker relation in your user forms. But how would you make the copilot understand that? And how would you make the system understand the legal entity in which you want to create the leave? Friends, this is where lies the trick which I would like to share with you today. Requesting you to watch the video till the end and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel just in case if you have not already done so. So here you go. Did it. Okie dokies. So I have created a topic known as apply for leaves and where I have defined certain phrases like I want to apply for leaves or can you help me apply for leaves like that. Whenever the Copilot topic is going to encounter this kind of phrases, it's going to be invoked. And as a next step, what is it going to do is that it's going to ask the user how many number of days or how many number of when do you want this leave or why do you want this leave, questions like this. So the first question that Copilot is going to ask the user is when do you want this leave, and the leave date, actually the date on which the user wants to avail this leave, it is going to save the response as a string. Mind you, as a string, not as a date time variable, but as a string. The reason I am going to illustrate in a later step. Now, the next question is why do you think you want this leave? So here the copilot is asking the user, like, okay, fine, I got the date of your leave. Now I want you to tell me why do you want this leave? You can pass this as a comment. And once again, the this comment from the user is going to be saved as a variable known as leave comment, and obviously this is going to be kind of a string variable. And then the user is going to be asked by the copilot, like enter quantity, the number of days or number of hours. So I am specifying the number of hours in this case because I have configured the days, not as days, but as hours in my leave module in Dynamics 365 F&O. So this I am saving once again as a variable called leave quantity, and this I am storing as a variable called leave quantity, as which is of type number. Hovering down to the next step, I am creating a flow whereby I'm passing the currently logged on user's ID and I'm getting the personal number that is related to this user ID. So how I'm getting the currently logged on user ID is by saying user.id. So when I say this, in if you click on the select variable and this window is going to open, let's wait for this window. Yeah, it's come. And if I go to the system tab, I can select from here user and from user.display name, user.email, user.source name, like that, you can get from user.id is what we need there. So user.id, I am passing this on and I'm passing this on into a variable called cur user ID. I have defined this variable called cur user ID, and I am passing this variable into a flow, which is obtaining the personal number that is currently mapped to this user ID. And this personal number is what I actually would be needing so as to create the time of details for this user. Okay, so let's see what we have written in this flow. It's a very simple flow. So if I click on this flow details, it will take me to the flow design. Let's wait for this window to get loaded. Is I am getting the card user in ID as an input. The card user ID which I'm getting from the topic as an input to this flow. And this flow, what is it doing is it is calling the AAD token API, and whereby I'm getting, in fact, where I'm sending the client ID, the client secret, and all the other essentials to get the token value. And this token I am initializing into a variable called AD token variable. Like that, I've given a name like this, and I am parsing the above steps result, and I'm getting the access token. So this is what I need to call the the subsequent OData endpoint, and which I'm doing in the next step, like get personal number. I have defined a step like this, whereby I am calling this OData endpoint called. So as you can see, this workers is the OData entity which I have been needing, and I am going to select just the personal number out of all its data entity fields. I'm just going to select the personal number by passing on the user as the user ID, the card user ID variable which I'm getting from the raw state. So that's it. And along with that, I'm also passing the AAD token variable which I'm getting from the endpoint, from the endpoint invocation which I'm calling from the step above. So what does that actually this mean when I'm calling this OData entity and I'm passing on the card user ID? And this means I am basically calling. It means I am going to call this as user equals to the user ID in case this is the user ID which I'm going to log on in. And what is the response that I will get is, so this essentially means I am calling the endpoint like this, the OData entity workers like this, and this is the response that I'll be getting. I'm just selecting the personal number. As I've said, I'm selecting the personal number out of all the available OData entity fields, and I'll be needing this personal number, which I am going to send back to my topic in my Copilot Studio. Okay, so coming back to my designer, I am essentially calling a variable, I'm initializing a variable called get personal number. And inside this, what I'm doing is that I am making use of this expression, which is first body of the previous step, and then I'm obtaining the personal number. This question mark is nothing but ensuring it's kind of a ternary operator. I'm ensuring that if the personal number is there, they don't need to return it, else you return none. So what does this mean is that the method, the function, first it means out of this array, I'm referring to the first in the sequence, the first of the array elements I am getting, although there is only one element, but then also I am referring to the first of the array elements and I'm returning it back. And at the last step, what I'm doing is that I'm responding it back to the agent. I'm passing on this personal number, this variable which I'm getting from the step, and I'm sending it back to my Copilot topic. And then coming back to my topic, what I'm doing is that I am obtaining the value of this flow, which I just showed to you in a variable called personal number. Yeah. So if you come here, you will see this variable called personal number, which I'm getting back from the flows execution, and I'm storing that in a local variable called personal number. Now, what I will do is that I will pass this variables which I have received from the user along with this personal number to call another flow, which is going to create records in my leave request. So when I say create records in leave request, it means I have to insert records in two tables, the header and the line. So For that, what I'm doing is that I'm sending the personal number, I'm sending the data area ID, I'm coming to that how we are obtaining the data area ID. And then I'm sending the leave date, I'm sending the comment, I'm sending the quantity. So these are the bare minimum you need to create the records. So you can also optionally send some more information, but that I am not sending. You can obviously manipulate, you can obviously craft your flow according to your requirement, and you can pass additional information. But just for our demo today, I'm just skipping those additional information and I'm focusing on these variables which I have received. Okay, so the data area ID is how this is obtained is if I click on this and you see I have defined a formula here called global. In that, Copilot server form user context then data area ID. So this is how you can get the currently logged on users data area ID. So this is the what we say in X++ as car ext, car curext, car ext. We say in X++. The same thing you are doing in Copilot Studio by using this PA Copilot server form user context and data area ID. That's it. So I am now done with this. I'm going to take you to the flow which I have created called apply for leads. So how I can take you there is I can simply hover over the flows. So this inside the flows, I can see all the list of flows that I have created, and let this get loaded in the meanwhile. And here are my flows that I have created. So I'm taking to this apply for leads. So if I click on this, it's going to take you to the designer mode and let this get loaded. Let's wait. And these are the inputs, as you can rightly guess, that inputs that I have obtained from my topic, and I'm sending them in my subsequent steps to create the records. So in the next step, what I'm doing is that I'm again calling the OAuth endpoint to get my AD token. But here you can skip this and instead you can pass the AAD token which you have already obtained in the previous step while you were obtaining the personal number. You can still get that AAD token. You can still make use of that AAD token instead of again obtaining it afresh. The reason is that is going to shrink the response time to a great extent. Any AD token that you obtain is going to be valid for 60 minutes. So why don't I make use of the AD token which I have already received from the previous step? Why don't I make use of it? Why don't I make reuse of it? So this you can improvise when you are going to design this flow. Anyways, I am again calling the initialized variable. I'm using the a access token and basically I'm storing that in a variable out here. Then what I will do is that I will call the header request header. As I was saying, we need two records to be created, one for the header and another for the line. So the request header is this is how we are going to call the request header. The this is the leaf request header is the name of the OData entity which I'm going to call, and then I'm going to pass the data area ID. I'm going to pass the prison code ID. I can optionally keep this as empty, or I can also give some value to it. I can make the user pass this value to it. Personal number is what I have obtained from the previous step. And the request date time is basically I am making use of format date time by sending this as year, month, date, then hour, minute, and seconds. So when you say this, this is essentially converting the string, the date string into a JSON string. This is why I was basically ensuring, I was basically purposely storing the date that I have got from the user, the leaf date which I got from the user as of type string. That's why I purposely kept that. And lastly, I am basically storing the leave comment, the comment of the user into this variable, and that's it. So this is how you can create the header, and the header is going to be created with one record of all these details. And as you can see, like I'm passing the parent token with the variable which I've got from the above step. So once this is obtained, the result looks like this. So in this example, what I have done is that I have passed on this payload as an input to this OData entity, and this is the response which I obtained with the request ID. So request ID is this which got auto generated. The same thing I am doing from the flow by calling the same OData entity, and I am getting the request ID. This response I need to parse. It's very simple. I am going to pass this response, this JSON response, I'm going to parse, and I'm going to obtain the request ID, which I'm going to use in the subsequent step to create the line. So in this step, after the request header got created out here, I am declaring a variable called request ID. And this in this request ID, what I am doing is I am just parsing directly the body of the above steps response and obtaining the request ID, much like the way which I showed you in my post map. And finally, I'm creating the request line. The request line is pretty simple. I am calling the request, leave request details, this core data entity, and I am, data area ID, I'm passing the data area ID I already have obtained. Request ID I'm already obtained from the above step. Leave date, which is nothing but the same trick which I did for the above step. Type as PTO, which is paid time off. I am basically coding this, but yes, of course, as I said, you can also pass this on from user, and the amount, that is the leave, the number of hours or number of days or number of months, and whatever you want to pass as the amount of leaves, and pass this on as the leave quantity. So essentially that is going to create the line for you. So once this is created, once this record is created, I am responding back to my agent with the body of the header. The body of the header. This is essential. Why I'm going to tell you why I'm sending the body. And I am here. I am concluding the flow, the concluding the design of the flow, and I'm passing the transferring the control back to my caller agent's topic. Getting, I'm storing that in a variable called request ID. This variable name I've kept it request ID. Don't get misled by the variable name. So I have kept the name like this, although I'm storing the entire response which I'm getting back from my flow. And the response, if you remember, looks like this. So this is the response which I am getting, and this is what I am sending back, as I mentioned. So I am sending this entire response back to my calling agent's topic so that I can get all the values of request ID, listen code, personal number, request date, comment status, whatever is there, I'm basically getting them. And so that is why I am sending this response back to my calling topic. Is that I have added a step as parse value, whereby I am parsing the JSON payload, the JSON response which I'm getting back from the flow. And I'm basically getting saved the variable as of type record, the data type as record, and creating a new variable called leave request, which is of type record. So how does this schema look like? This schema looks like, if I click on edit schema, it will open up into this pop-up whereby I can either paste the payload or I can view the variables, the different components of my request. So these are the data context, the data e-tag. So these are the response, the top contents of your response, which out of which the comment, data ID, personal number, prison code, and all these things I'm basically getting back from my response. So I'm just dismissing this and coming back to my main screen. So this is, I am saving this as a leave request so that in the final step, I am saying a message like this. I'm sending back a message to my Copilot like this. Here is the request ID created where my leave request dot request ID, where leave request is the record. So if you click on this leave request and you go to FX, which is the Power FX formula, you can access the different components of your record, the different fields of your record. So if I click on just this insert power fix or expression, I can see the leave request fields that are created this text box. And if I say leave request, if I press dot, it should be able to show me the different fields that are available, but it's not showing. So let me write like this topic dot leave request, then dot. It is showing me all the available fields as I was saying, like request ID, visit code ID, person number, everything you are getting, whatever your JSON payload response came back from your flow. So I'm just canceling this and coming back to my prompt. So with that, if I save and publish my topic, which I already have done, and if I come back to my Dynamics 365 F&O, so this is our immersive home, so it gets loaded. Let it get loaded in the meanwhile. So that's like this. Can I, or rather, if I want to apply. So let's see what happens now. And the Copilot is saying, working on it. So it's saying, hey, sure, when do you want this list? So I'm saying 2nd of February this year. Okay. And saying again, working on it. Let's give it some time. It's saying, why do you think you need this leave? You can write it on it. So I'm saying, I would like to go for collecting my visa. Okay, so that with that I'm saying, and it's again saying working on it, and it's going to come back with its further question, like in the quantity. So I typically am going to take 8 hours. So if I say enter, if I press enter on it, let's see what comes. It's going to take a while as it is doing the needful of creating the records. So let's wait. And yeah, it's saying here is the request ID created. Please visit leave and absence, time of request to view more details. So if I go back to leave and request module, which is right out here, leave and absence. So leave and absence is the module name, and inside that I can go to time of requests to view more details with this user ID created. And I am Adam Carter. I'm the worker who is basically mapped with this worker. And this is my details. If I click on this, it will open up with the details exactly with what you keyed in, what are the details you keyed in, it has exactly created with this. So with that, let me conclude the session for today. Like if you have tried this exercise at your end, Please let me know if you are facing any challenges, and give me a nudge. You can reach out to me in any of these minutes. And once again, just in case if you have already not subscribed to my channel, please like and subscribe. And I would like to hear from you. And see you next time. Much love. And as always, namaste, Subhash.